teachers.
Master Shantideva says, he says, look, be happy when you meet these unpleasant people. Be kind to them, be sweet to them, be loving to them. Because they're going to disappear from your life. Because the way you get rid of unpleasant people is by loving them. Right? Karmically. So kiss them goodbye. Once you learn the secret to dealing with bad people karmically, you don't have them in your life anymore. And so they're hard to find. The more you behave appropriately karmically, the harder and harder it is to find unpleasant people in your life. And so when you come across unpleasant people, it's a rare opportunity to practice being benevolent and loving and virtuous. So there'll be fewer and fewer of them in your life. So stop reacting to them in a bad way and start reacting in a nice way, and you don't have the karma to meet them anymore. So that's the secret, according to Buddhism, that's the secret of getting rid of unpleasant employees, employers, and I shouldn't say. Go ahead.
Well, then by the same logic, you could say that the way to get rid of all of the pleasant people in our lives, those whom we love and care for, is to love and care for them. Because if the irritating disappear as a result of our relating to them in a loving way, if they disappear as a result of that, then why doesn't the person who I genuinely love to begin with also disappear when I express that same love to them?
So I think the point is
He's
not...
saying that to be annoying. I love you so much.
Hector, do I ever have my lawyer?
I was thinking you were awfully quiet all day.
I'm just waiting for the right moment. That's right. This is it.
Spring at the last.
This is the moment.
This is it.
All right, so I think the point here, is that it's not that love is a repulsive agent. It's not that by being loving, you're karmically repelling people. It's not the point. Okay, the point is that by being loving, you create the karmic causes to have people behave in a loving fashion to you.
Yeah.
So, like produces like, right? So if you are loving to a nasty person, you have collected the cause to have someone behave in a loving fashion to you in the future.
Well, gee, John, I hear that as a conclusion, but if I have a person I don't love over here and a person I do love over there, and they're both standing at the edge of a cliff and I give them both a push, they fall the same way.
Yeah.
Gravity doesn't discriminate between the lovable and the irritating, so why should this operate so differently? And what's sauce for the goose is sauce for the goose.
I don't think he's saying.
Let's see if I can follow that. So you're saying that because gravity applies equally to those we love and hate,
Yeah.
that karma applies equally to those we love
That
and
the
hate?
application of love with respect to an object, an exterior person, should achieve the same effect in either case.
So because gravity pulls everything down,
Love
should repel
should get rid
everyone?
of one and all.
Or attract?
Equally love.
Or attract?
Wait, but I think what is misunderstood is that love does not get rid of something.
That's just what he intended would happen
no,
when he talked about buildings. That was
Is this a test to see if I'm going to be loving to you?
that was never a question. No, this is just the mechanics of how this all works.
It's not getting rid of someone who's not loving to you. It's creating a cause that will force them to only be loving towards you.
He was just throwing me a bone. He was telling me to get rid of the person who was irritating by loving them.
Yeah.
Okay, and the fact that they're no longer there is the bone he's giving them.
But the semantics are saying, get rid of John Stilwell, when really what he's saying is get rid of the John Stilwell that annoys you, and get the John Stillwell who teaches you.
Let me say it a different way then. Let me just try a completely different tack to see if it's more satisfying, all right? Given that everything is a perceptual event, right? If your mind functions in a way to perceive someone as loving, because that is how your mind is wired to function, then you will perceive them as loving. If your mind is processing in a way to perceive someone as unpleasant, then that's how you perceive them. So what we're talking about is setting up your mind so that it no longer processes anything as unpleasant or unloving.
So Mary's saying that the thing I'm going to get rid of, if I compose myself correctly, is my own state of mind,
Yeah.
not the other person who was so irritated.
Where does the other person come from?
I don't know, if we posit that they are an other person, dot, 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 then we can't say it's just me. And if we say it's just me, then we can't say it's an other person.
So then, we have to go back to, which course is it? We have to go back to course 6, I suppose, which is the nature of perception and how things exist and where things come from, right? What exists out there really, and what exists as a function of our mind and the way in which our mind perceives, right? So, Buddhism would assert, or Prasangika would assert, that everything that we perceive is a function of our senses, our mind, and how we conceive it and label it, including the loving or unpleasant person, and that there is no self-existent person, loving or unloving, out there. Right? It's a function of the mind and how it's processing and constructing reality. I think we'll continue that one next time. I mean, we'll just leave it at that. I'm glad you got one in here though today.
Is this one of the things that came up from course 13?
What?
Was this a little bit of debate that I just missed from?
You must have been practicing debate from course 13. That's a good point.
Oh, yeah, pent up.
Yeah. We taught you to debate, now you're all the more dangerous.
I'm ready to run.
Yeah, all right. So please feel in your heart the love and empathy and appreciation for all those around you. And by the power of our efforts this evening, by the power of our discussion and study and debate and practice, may every living being appear to us as a body of light, loving, blessing us and leading us to enlightenment in this very life.
Thank you.
Thank you, G, if you're out there. I'm sure you're out there. Thank you, G, for making the flyer. And so see you in 3 weeks. Thank you for coming. It's a pleasure to be here again.
Thank you.
Delight. Thank you all.
Teaching again.
Do you want to announce?
And Hector is passing out.
Do you want to do some announcements?
Stephen is about to do an announcement.
Yeah, an announcement. If you guys could sign the sign-in sheet before you guys go, that'd be great. And if you're not signed up for the weekly newsletter, put your email.
Actually, they're at the front. And in 2 weeks' time, or just under 2 weeks, Geshe Michael Roach will be here to teach round 2 of Secrets from the Wheel of Life. This time the focus of the talks will be around using the information in the Wheel of Life, the teachings in there, to target addictions from obsessive compulsive behavior with your mind, with your body, with your speech, any kind of New York addiction. So for 3 nights we get to spend time thinking and contemplating how to overcome that most annoying of all addictions of our own. So please, I encourage you to take a flyer from the front desk there, and if you have a favorite cafe or a bunch of friends, take 2 or 3 or 5, and the more people you can get there, the more people that will be able to get these ideas and shift the way we live in New York, especially this horrible winter. Number two, if you could register for the event, that would help us know how many people are coming, because it's limited seating this time.
The other thing I didn't mention is you asked about where to get the
Sure.
reading. So, normally, I used to print all the readings out in the homeworks and put them in binders, and then people asked not to do that so that they could get them off the web. So you can, please do get the readings in the homeworks and the other materials from the web. It's acidharma.org, course 14.
They can come and ask me.
Or you can ask Hector or Stephen, but please by all means do get the readings and do get the other
Is there a
materials.
link on the Facebook page?
Yeah, oh, and can we hand these out?
Sure,
I'll put the link on the Facebook event page, and you'll find this class at Facebook event, and that will prompt you in 3 weeks to come again. And
Oh, and if you guys could please put everything back neatly, and if you use the teacup or anything, please wash it and place it back.
Thank you.